NAMASTE. So we're going to continue on with explaining these systems of densities of consciousness. So just to remind you, if you haven't watched the first video, I would really recommend watching these three videos. The first video was explaining Ra, the Venusians, the ones of Venus, and their 6 density social memory complex. What I didn't really explain in the video previously, because I was running out of time, it's incredible how fast this time goes, is that when you enter the 4th density on all of these systems, you begin to merge into a social memory complex of like-minded entities. So you begin to form like-minded groups. In the beginning of 4th density, it starts with like-minded tribes or groups or collectives of people getting together, meditation circles, medicine ceremonies, sacred circles, all this kind of, just joining together, and healing circles, prayer circles. This is how it begins. And then as you enter more into the astral, you can become, after millions and millions of years of physical and metaphysical evolution, you start to form these social memory complexes, these like-minded groups, where you start fusing your minds together, telepathically linking, psychically linking your minds together, and you all share the same memories, with social etiquette, and you still have a certain level of privacy, but not the same as, you don't have this 3rd density level of consciousness. It's not all me against them, it's us, it's we. You forget the me and you adopt the we. Okay, so we're seeing the beginnings of that now. Now I'm going to describe the 9 density consciousness system, which Matthias Di Stefano from, he's done loads of work, and many others have worked with. It's very similar to the one I've just mentioned in the previous video, which Ra speaks of, with the 1st density being that, the elements. I would implore you to go back and watch the first video, because this is going to save me a lot of work explaining this again. Okay, so I might even start a new playlist and entitle this Densities and Dimensions. Okay, densities of consciousness and dimensions. So this is going to be me explaining over these next few videos what dimensions and density systems are. And by the way, only 3rd density and 4th density beings use these divisions, and the higher beings only use these divisions to, they see all as one. Ultimately, there's just one thing going on. There's one thing happening, right? And there's just millions and millions and millions of different vibrations differing in frequency in this one musical song that's being sung. Yeah, there's just this one divine choir singing, but they're all singing, and it works like a musical scale. So if you count the 7 density system as the 7 musical notes on a piano, on a scale, if you miss out the black notes, that's the 7 density of consciousness system. If you go to the 9 density, you add the black notes as well, but in a way of speaking, in a manner of speaking. But so the difference is, I would watch the first video, because it's pretty much the same until we get up to the 8th and the 9th densities. Okay, so the 9th density, from where we left off in the first video, the 8th density, from what Ra speaks of, is the gateway. The 7th is the gateway density into the 8th, and then the 8th loops you off and jumps you into a whole new octave. So just like a musical scale with all of the notes, you have the 7 notes, and then the 9 notes, including the black ones as well. Yeah, the black keys. And then what happens? We jump onto a new octave, and it's the same notes, but it's just on a higher octave. Okay, and there are an infinite number of these higher octaves and lower. This goes on infinitely. And another thing I didn't mention on the last video, because I was running out of time, is that in each density, so the first density, there are 7 divisions, sub-densities, okay, within that density. But then from those 7 sub-densities, there are 7 sub-sub-densities. And then within those 7 sub-sub-densities, there are 7 sub-sub-sub-densities for infinity. This goes on for infinity. So this is why the higher beings of the 6th density and the 5th density see this as one, and just different frequencies of that one expression. So different expressions, so different frequencies of that one song being played, that one song being sung. Okay? And so we're looking at this in octaves, and so the 9th density would be that of the Godhead. The first density, I might as well recap. So the first density, quickly, being that of the elements, so fire, water, air, or wind, and earth, okay? And having usually hundreds of millions or billions of years of a major reincarnation cycle. The second density being that of microbes in the lower sub-densities of second density, or sub-octaves, some channels call it a sub-octave of that density, the little increments, little vibratory differences. So at the very early end, you would have microbes, bacteria, going up to plankton, okay, going up to plants. It's all about movement and growth. And the second density, well, you can be in that for thousands of years. It can take thousands of years to gain all the experience after you've been microbes, going all the way up to animals, and eventually higher animals, if you would call it that, more sentient animals like parrots, like blackbirds, parrots, like dolphins, elephants, very sociable animals, monkeys, if they've been in human contact, trees even, highly advanced trees that have been around humans and had lots of human contact. And then this goes up to third density, human beings, or humanoid beings, humans on our world, humanoid beings on many other worlds. And this goes up, and your average lifespan, of course, is 60 to 100 years, and you keep on reincarnating and reincarnating for 77,000 years, approximately, for a major reincarnation cycle, until you've made the choice. Third density is all about self-awareness, sentience, and making the choice of whether to serve yourself in a narcissistic way, or whether to polarize in the positive, in service to others. Once you have done that, you graduate into fourth density. Fourth density being that in the positive polarity of love, compassion, and the understanding of love and compassion, and how to administer that in your service work. And this goes on for, well, around about 30 million years of a major reincarnation cycle. And eventually, after many, many millions of years, hundreds of millions of years, you will evolve to having this. When you get to the upper astral, I would say, when you get to the upper astral, you'll have lives that each life will go on for 80 to 90,000 Earth years. Okay, but time is very different when you're in the fourth density. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but dream time, when you're in a lucid dream, you could be in that dream, it seems like 1,000 years, but when you come out of it, well, okay, that's maybe exaggerating. In your dream, it might seem like you've been in the dream for 5 or 6 days, right? Or like a week. You come out of it, you knew roughly what time you fell asleep, you check the time, and it's been like an hour or 2 hours. But it seems like it's been days in the dream time. That's how the astral works. So time works very differently. Although I'm saying 30 million years of Earth years, those 30 million Earth years will go by as fast as 77,000 of our Earth years. Okay, so everything's relative, don't forget. The fourth density is when you start forming social memory complexes. The fifth density is that of wisdom, balancing wisdom with the understanding of love, and balancing love with the wisdom of how to serve better without having to sacrifice your life, martyrdom, going up to the, that can go on for like 50 million years of a major reincarnation cycle. And your lifetime, each average lifetime eventually will reach hundreds of thousands of years, going up to millions of years. And that's your crystalline light level of consciousness. Crystalline light is a very uniform, periodic formation of a very structured light. So that's the level of consciousness that you have. Then you go to sixth density, which is that of unity consciousness, and you have your light body, your full light body. Well, your full light body is really seventh density. That's when but you have your, what we would class as a light body, an angelic light body in the sixth density, and you become your higher self. You become the higher self of all of these previous incarnations, like however many hundreds of thousands of or millions of incarnations that you've had. You can kind of project yourself out into many, many different formats, and you can become the higher self of all of the incarnations that you've had in the perceived past. Okay, bear in mind, there's only really the infinite and eternal moment of now. Linear time is the illusion, and you realize that when you get into the fifth and sixth densities of consciousness. Now, there can be fifth and sixth densities of consciousness beings that decide to come back into this third and fourth density form, this physical form, albeit maybe part physical, part light, like some of the extraterrestrials that you hear of that are bright, shimmering beings, but they're quite humanoid looking, but you can tell they're made of partially of light, and they have a much, much, much higher, more broad, more expanded level of consciousness. Okay? And they're in a unity mindset. They live by the law of one, and they teach the law of one. The seventh density in the ninth density system would be that of course, your average lifespan is well over 100 million years. So your average reincarnational span would be well over 100 million years. It sounds like a lot, but everything's relative. And like I said, the higher the vibratory rate of your consciousness, the faster that vibratory rate, the faster time as we know it seems to go. So your perception of time is very, very different in the sixth and seventh densities. You don't look at linear time anymore. You don't go by linear time anymore. You only use linear time to come back and communicate with your past selves in the third and fourth densities, to teach and to serve. Okay, so you spend your time trying to evolve consciousness in your lower density selves, because all is one. So we're all a different aspect of ourselves, of each other. When you look at another human being, you're looking into the eyes of yourself and God, because both are one. Both other self and self are one. The eighth density in this would be the above the guardians. So these would be the non-physical beings. The seventh density is the last physical level of consciousness that you get to. From the eighth density, you're a non-physical being. From the eighth dimension, you're a non-physical entity. Your eighth dimension is a star that's gone supernova, that's lost its physical body and turns into a black hole. Okay, a small level black hole. From eighth and above is non-physical. So like eighth would be star going supernova in the dimensional range, but the level of consciousness of eighth is that of dividing the rays. So you are organizing the lower 7 densities below you. So you're the master, you're the oversoul, basically. You're the oversoul level, and you are organizing the 7 rays of your, you could class it as your lower selves, but nothing's lower or higher. It's just a way of explaining it in human terms. This is very, very hard to explain when you're thinking from unity consciousness, like I am now. But I'm trying to describe this in a human way, which is that of division. It's a tricky one. The 9th density would be the Godhead in this system. The Godhead itself of all potential, all probability, all outcomes, that is all there ready to be manifested, but is in non-physical form, that is ready to just be sent down to the 8th density, which then the 8th density manages and manifests everything that the 9th density wishes to be manifest. Okay, so many would see the 9th density as the source, and indeed it is the source of an octave. But as we're going to learn in the 12 density system coming up next, there are higher levels of consciousness than the 9th density in the 12 density system, and they will be explained in the next video. Okay, namaste.